Everybody get up, it's time to slam now, slam now, slam now. Everybody get up, it's time to slam now, slam now, slam now. Welcome to the Space Jam, Space Jam. Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Where my bus lifers at? Where my trailer lifers at? Where my souped up element lifers at? And especially where my van lifers at?
Everybody get up.
Here we go. Get up. You're looking at a live shot. We are producing this from a hilltop overlooking the Grand Teton Mountains. It is a beautiful day today, and I am excited to welcome you to Good Vibe Live. Now, I am your host, Matt Alexander, aka Captain Good Vibes of EnjoyTheJourney.today, and I am always here with my co-captain, Miss Stella, who's actually going to be having a birthday on the 29th. So happy birthday coming up in a few days to Stella. And also, I'm going to have a co-host just like always. So we've brought in Dave. You remember Dave from last week? What's going on, Dave? Where are you coming in from today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm coming in from the mountains just outside of Butte, Montana.
Montana.
It's gorgeous out here.
I love it.
You got to say it with that little bit of an accent just to get it.
Butte. Is that how they say it? I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
Oh, it's all good, Dave, but it's good to be back. Guys, reach out to us in the comments. Tell us where you're coming in from today, where you're watching the show on this beautiful Saturday morning. I want to take my glass and start us off with a toast. We are always drinking Nuff Said Roasting from my boy Justin out of San Diego. So I want to take this opportunity to thank not only Justin, but the other people that help us make this possible. So big up to one of our big sponsors, Tomfoolery of Tomfoolery Outdoors. Cheers to you guys. Oh, it's a great day today. We've got this new setup. Dave, you like it?
I like it. It's looking good.
Yeah, last time we had a crazy thing with your earphones where you could barely hear what you were talking about. Now we got you set up. You're doing good, so I'm glad to have you back on the show.
Yeah, and not sounding drunk. So right? that's important. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, first thing we got to do is start off with the music. You remember that badass set we had last month from Michale, so I was so stoked on it. I actually reached out to Michale and asked him if we could be partners with Good Vibe Live. So he's actually going to be our house DJ and going to be putting together live sets for every show. So without further ado, I want to bring up Mr. Michale of Nomadic Soul Traveler. Yeah, here we go. Guys, you can stream these sets now live for free. We have all of our sets that Michale makes for the show now on his SoundCloud. So go check out Nomadic Soul Traveler with 2 L's, and you can stream this set yourself.
Dude, it's so good.
Right? Crushing it, Michale. I wish I could just play it the whole time, but we got to keep the show moving. We got to keep the show moving. But we're going to have him hanging out. He's going to be producing the whole show, so enjoy the music in the background, and we are going to move on to our next segment. So I'll give you a little bit of preview of what's coming up on today's show. So we've got a bunch of stuff. I actually brought on Chris from the Good Vibe Collective. He's got a new project that he's doing called ecovanorg, so he's going to be talking to us a little bit. We've also got Chris and Cherie from the Mobile Internet Resource Center. They helped me understand everything cell boosters, antennas, and how to get better service on the road. So that's a really good article coming up. We've also got a special deal on boosters coming up after that. And to finish it off, it's Pride Month, y'all. Happy Pride Month to ya. We wanted to bring VanlifePride out to talk a little bit about what they're doing with their account and how they're including the van life community with the Pride community. So excited about the show today. What you think, Dave?
I think it's going to be great. You know, I'm excited for all of this, especially the cell booster technology stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So I'll be interested to listen to them and see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, no, we're gonna learn a lot. I'm excited about it. But the first segment, we're gonna go to Chris. And Chris, if you can hear us, we've got you live, man. Come on and let us know what you're up to.
Hey, thanks, Matt. I just wanted to come on quick to let everybody know about a new community resource that I've been working on. My van, the Vitruvian van, is the most eco-friendly van life camper van out there. I spent about 1,000 hours going through and designing and sourcing only natural, non-toxic, sustainable materials to build the van. Before that was at vitruvianvan.com and my Instagram was vitruvianvan. I've just recently changed that to ecovan.org. So ecovan.org is a new website resource. It's a one-stop shop for resources for building and living ecologically on the road. And then the Instagram is now ecovan_org, and I'll be posting there about the same type of thing: tips, tricks, articles, information about building and living ecologically on the road. So if you're interested in non-toxic build materials, ecological, sustainable design theories, and then just tips and ideas about how to enjoy your time out in nature while being ecological and responsible and just having a good, peaceful time in nature, check out ecovan.org. So let me know what y'all think. If you have any questions or you want to contribute something to the website or the resource, reach out to me. I'd be glad to talk to anybody. Anyway, thanks, Matt. Back to you.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks, brother. It's always good to hear from Chris. He's always doing something awesome, especially when it comes to sustainability. Now, Stella is ripping up that tennis ball outside. She's excited about these new tennis balls I got her. And that is a little bit of our view out there. Pretty sweet, right, y'all? So for our next segment, I have been nerding out on everything cell boosters. I've been trying to figure out what do I need to make sure that I'm getting signal out in the middle of nowhere. We're all traveling, we're trying to work from the road, and it's difficult to figure out exactly what's best to spend your money on. I've been looking at cell boosters. I've also been looking at new devices that I've been learning about called MIMO devices, multiple in, multiple out, and we'll talk about that a little more because I reached out to the people that I found were the biggest resource for me when I was trying to learn, and that was Chris and Cherie of the Mobile Internet Resource Center. So I've asked them to come on the show today and chat with us. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us today on Good Vibe Live. So as I mentioned, I've been nerding out on everything cell phone boosters and trying to figure out how can I get that extra upload speed for my videos, and I kept coming back to your videos. So let me just first say thank you. We appreciate you for filling the internet with resources and giving us some understanding of what's going on, you know, because my big thing was I thought cell phone boosters were the only option, you know, so my big thing was what else is out there, and you guys really helped us. So I wanted to just touch briefly on the fact that you guys have been doing this for a long time. You're one of the first nomads that back in 2006, I believe it was, when you started Nomad. I should be able to say this. Technomadia.
Yes, we are technology-enabled nomads, and yeah, we hit the road in a super tiny travel trailer back in 2006. Actually, Chris hit the road solo. We met online, and I joined him, and we've been on the road full-time in full-time perpetual motion since 2006, working remotely the entire time.
And the most common question we'd get asked over the years is people like, how are you making this work? How are you living on the road? And in particular, how are you staying connected and doing internet and working on the road? And after answering that question about 7,000 billion times, Cherie actually wrote a book on the topics, like the first edition of our mobile internet handbook, and that's went from being a side project to our full-time jobs now. The book evolved into a website and a membership and a
video
whole
channel
community and a video channel, and
we love that we are completely community funded, so we don't have affiliate partnerships, we're not sponsored,
we're not selling gear,
and so we can be completely unbiased and create educational content that we can give a lot of it for free. And then our members who fund us, it's kind of like Consumer Reports, they get the more in-depth stuff and the reviews and lots of we have a classroom and Q&A forums, and we do webinars with them.
Rather than trying to sell people stuff so we get the affiliate kickback, we often more often than not, what we do is we talk people out of spending money. Like we're just trying to explain to you, is like for so many people, a booster is a big $500-$600 investment, and for most people, a lot of people get really disappointed because the booster will actually slow the normal usage for a lot of people down. It actually makes your performance worse. So you got to know, you have to know where the tool is appropriate and if it actually will matter and be good for you.
A booster is a pricey investment, and they've become very popular because the booster manufacturers have done a really great job with affiliate marketing. They've reached out to social media influencers, gotten them to the hands of lots of YouTubers and bloggers, set them up with affiliate relationships. So there's a lot of content out on them, and then it becomes assumed that they're the best option because they're the most expensive. And they do fit. They can have a fit in a mobile internet arsenal, but they're not as...
It's not where you should spend your first $600, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really said it when we were chatting earlier, and I was like, well, how often do you actually use your booster? And tell them the answer.
We used to use ours all the time. Like when we got our first cellular booster was in 2008 when we had our second travel trailer custom built for us. Back then it was a 3G world, and cellular boosters and antennas.
Cellular coverage was much more primitive.
It was much more primitive. We did a lot of boonies, being out in the boonies, and we actually carried with us a satellite dish with us too, so we could get internet everywhere. And we used the booster quite a bit. But as we've moved into an LTE world, and now we're about to go into a 5G world, well, most cellular devices, even your smartphones, mobile hotspot devices, they have at least 2 antennas inside of them. So the most optimal way to enhance a signal over LTE is by making those 2 antennas bigger, by putting amplifiers on them or antennas.
Multiple. So...
And a booster, what you're essentially doing is you're covering up one ear and shouting into the other. Now, if you are a far, far distance away from a cellular tower, that actually might be the way that you get a better signal. But in most places, because cellular is in so many places now, much
even
more
in
so,
the super remote places sometimes.
You've got moderate signals that you're dealing with. You just need to make them a little bit better to get better data performance.
And in moderate signal areas, a lot of times what you'll see with the booster is the booster will make no difference on your download speed test. You'll see the bars go up, and people get so confused. They think the bars on their phone matter. The bars don't mean a thing. The bars basically tell you how close to the edge of the cliff you are, but you can still be getting great performance with 1 bar or awful performance with 5. So don't pay attention to the bars. Always run a speed test, and you'll see a booster might cut your speeds in half for downloads, but your uploads in some places will go up by 10x. So depending on what your needs are, if you're like trying to upload a YouTube video and you're a YouTube content creator, that extra upload could be worth its weight in gold. But for most people, the way most people surf and most things you're doing, it's mostly focused on downloads, and people will be like, well, my performance actually got worse when I turned on my booster. It's like, yeah, because you plugged one ear.
The question he asked was, when was the last time we actually used a booster? And it's been a couple of years. We test them all the time and to confirm. But in our personal setup, we have standardized on using MIMO antennas that directly plug into our mobile hotspot devices and cellular embedded routers.
No, I think that's awesome, and you said a lot of stuff there, so I just want to recap a few of them, because I think there's a lot of really good nuggets in there. One, I've used the ear analogy that you guys came up with, or I heard at least first from you. I've used that with so many people, and I think that's a great way to explain it, and I totally understand. The big thing for me is, you know, when we're running this show, we're live, so I want to have that upload. So for me, with a cell phone and not a hotspot device, that booster can really grab on and boost my upload speeds. But, you know, it was really interesting to hear that the download speeds can actually come down, y'all. So you actually can get worse download speeds with a booster, which I think a lot of people don't really know about.
No, not a lot of people realize that.
And the reason that you're getting the better upload speeds is because the radio inside of your cell phone isn't as strong as the radio that's on the cell tower. So the cell tower is screaming signal at you so that it can get over several miles. Yeah. But in order for your device to talk back to the cell tower, that booster is basically putting a microphone on your smartphone, so it's shouting back out to the tower. And that's why you see upload performance so enhanced.
It makes your phone louder.
So for people that have hotspots, you guys have a great recommendation for them. And I'd love to dive into these MIMO devices and how people can maybe circumvent that $500 booster and use this $30 device to get better service.
So right I'm holding a mobile hotspot device. You might also know them as jetpacks or MiFis. That's kind of like calling a facial tissue a puff or a Kleenex. It's just branding. And
this is basically a cell phone without the phone part in it. So it talks to the cellular network and then makes a Wi-Fi hotspot for you that other devices, 10 or 15 or even more devices can all share that cellular connection.
But don't go on the cheap, low-end entry point ones. Make sure you go with the flagship ones, which are going to be about $200 to $250.
Because they have antenna ports on them.
And that allows you then to directly plug in external antennas. So by doing this, I am essentially doing that.
And so now you've got bigger ears attached. And this is the Netgear MIMO antenna. This is one of the best $30 a Nomad could spend sometimes.
You get it on Amazon.
Yeah, and this is suction cups into the window of your RV or your van. And you could then, it's directional, so you have to try a couple different windows, do a few different speed tests. But once you've got it set up, this will almost always outperform a booster. And $30 versus $600, it is a big score.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's a huge difference. I think that's one of the big things. So the key is then, if you're going to buy the hotspot, make sure you spend a couple extra bucks and get something that's got the antenna ports, because it's worth your weight in gold.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you so much more options for signal. And not to mention, the modem inside of this device is a lot more advanced. It's going to be able to do carrier aggregation, so be able to combine multiple frequency bands. It's going to be able to connect to more frequency bands of your carrier and deliver faster speeds than a entry-level hotspot can. So an entry-level hotspot might only cost $80 to $100, or you get an older model. It's worth it to go with whatever the current flagship is for your carrier.
It will help you with both coverage and speed, and you will not regret it. And then the other challenge is finding the data plans that will let you get a decent amount of data. So that's a whole other topic. We've got tons of resources on our site for that.
We're tracking that stuff all the time. So if you go over to the Mobile Internet Resource Center at mobileinternetinfo.com, you will be able to tap into a ton of our resources. We don't have advertising on the site. It is all funded by our members.
But most of the basics are free.
Yep, so there's a bunch of free content that you can get into. We do have a YouTube channel as well. Mobile Internet Resource Center as a YouTube channel, and lots of free videos on there, like what you found on, you've probably found our Mimo versus Boosters video, I think is what it sounds like you found.
Yep.
And
there's our van.
Yeah, no,
that's our
got the
Bravado.
website up there. They've got tons of resources, y'all. We're just touching the surface, barely getting into it. So if you want to dive into all the details, make sure that you check out their website, because that's where I went to find all the information and why I reached out with you guys. So a couple more things that I'm interested in that are coming down the line. So a lot of us are fans of Elon Musk, and we all want to go to Mars, and we want to make sure planetary species survives. And one of the ways of doing it is by creating an internet, worldwide internet called Starlink, that has been the buzzword in the nomadic community because of what it could do and what hopefully in the future it will do. But I wanted to talk to you because I know you just came out with an awesome YouTube video that I watched about it, and guys, check it out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But it really talks about how to understand what's coming down the line and how to be prepared and not to get too excited, because we've got some steps before we get to there.
So Starlink is, of course, Elon Musk. It's SpaceX's new satellite system. There's satellite internet has been a staple in a nomadic mobile internet setup for decades.
There's been a lot of options.
There's but those are geostationary orbit ones, where you are actually communicating with a satellite that's 23,000 miles up in the atmosphere, and there's above the atmosphere yes. That has a very long ping time to get up and back.
Because the geostationary satellites are so far away, you have to have incredibly precise aim to hit them, and the round trip time, the time for your signal to go to the satellite and back to Earth, is impacted by the speed of light, and that makes everything kind of on the internet in slow motion. It makes two-way video. You have to have a little bit of a pause. It's all workable, but it's definitely not the sort of fast internet most people are used to. What Starlink is doing is, instead of 23,000 miles up, their satellites are just several hundred miles up, so much lower. But when satellites are lower, that means they're not in a fixed location. It means they're moving through the sky, and you have to have a lot of satellites so that there's always one passing over any given point on Earth. So they're actually planning a network that starts with 1,400 satellites as phase one, and eventually goes up to 30,000 satellites. So it takes a lot of launches to get Starlink off the ground, and that's one of the things that people are, they've heard SpaceX say they're going to start beta testing later this year. And
what we're hearing in a lot of the RVing communities that we pay attention to is people saying, they're giving the advice to people just hitting the road. It's like, don't buy any cellular equipment, just get on Starlink at the end of this year. And that's the reality check that we all need to be able to make here, is Starlink is only going into public beta at the end of this year, and it's only the satellites that will be in operation at that time are only going to be in the northern hemisphere, above Canada and north, really.
Well,
maybe Seattle, maybe
north of Chicago. So they're not going to have full United States coverage in 2020. In 2021, I mean, they're launching satellites at a crazy fast pace, but it's not going to be ready at the end of this year. They're still going to have well into next year before they have full nationwide coverage, and then it's going to be even a lot longer before they have global coverage for people who want to go other places, because they have to build base stations in other places. And there's a lot of confusion because people think the first generation satellite was going to have set lasers so they could all talk to each other. The satellites can't talk to each other yet. That's down the line.
Getting really, there's a lot of geeky details behind it that we went over in the video. But the reality check is, don't count on Starlink
being your everything,
being your every solution. There's going to be, even when it is fully launched, it's probably not going to be
a full replacement for cellular.
Full replacement. If you're used to going to places where there's trees, satellite doesn't work well underneath trees. It needs a clear line of sight to the satellites, especially satellites that are moving through the sky. So it's only going to be able to be a primary and only internet option for those that are in clear sky views areas, and away from urban areas where there's not going to be network congestion, because they're in urban areas where there's going to be network congestion on satellites, just like we have on cell phone towers.
But on the other hand, Starlink is super exciting.
Awesome.
It's crazy that they're launching 60 satellites at a time, 2 or 3 launches a month. It's a very exciting project to watch. We cover every bit of Starlink news, so it's definitely something to be cheering and excited about. Just don't get too excited.
Yep. And we'll be watching tomorrow's launch, because we're in Central Florida, and watching all the launches go up. So we're super excited about it.
Big up to Central Florida, my hometown. NASA, what's up? No, that's awesome. So then the big question for me, because a lot of us are heading to Alaska next year, is will we have the possibility of that Canadian Alaska route to next year? Do you think that's a possibility?
So the catch, so SpaceX scaled back a little bit. They originally were going to have satellites that would pass over Alaska, but they dialed things back. So they're north of 53 degrees latitude, 52, 53, right around in there. There's not going to be coverage with the first phase, and now it is an open question how quickly they will launch satellites that do global polar orbits, and will start covering Alaska. They've talked about Alaska, just not the timeline. So it's certainly on the radar.
But by next summer?
By next summer, we'll be pushing it. Certainly, I would say if you're planning an Alaska trip in summer 2022, there's going to be some great satellite options. Summer 2021, I wouldn't hold your breath. There's a chance, but I wouldn't plan on it yet.
So it sounds like I need to push our trip back maybe 1 year and just get us.
And the pandemic may, depending upon the herd immunity of COVID anyway, that
the borders will be open.
Yeah, Canada even wants us Americans over the border by then.
Canada will be building a wall.
Canada will be telling us we're not allowed in. I very much see that. So maybe 2 years. Maybe that might be the way. I know Van Stock is a gathering that's happening for the first time in Alaska, and it was postponed, and they decided to push it back 2 years. So I know they're doing 2022. So maybe that's when we do our Alaska trip and we can tie in Starlink and maybe use that while we're up there. That'd be sweet.
Yes.
So then
there was.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, there is some exciting stuff coming for satellite that will make revolutionize internet in rural Alaska. A lot of the places you will go on the roads have great cellular in Alaska now. Cellular in Alaska has gotten really good, but if you want to get away from the roads, there's definitely that's a place where satellite can be revolutionary up there.
What about Canada? I heard Canada has some big gaps.
It has very huge gaps. Yes.
Yes. Canada's huge, and there's not a lot of people, so they build cell towers where there's people.
So one of we're also mobile app developers. One of the apps we wrote is called Coverage, and it tracks cellular coverage maps for all the carriers. And we just released one for Canada. So that's all of the cellular connectivity there is in Canada is where those green colors are. Everything else has no cellular.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that basically from the Banff Rockies west? It looks like all the way till you get to Vancouver, it's just dead.
Yep. Yeah, there you're going to want, if you want any connectivity at all, you're going to want at least a satellite communicator.
Or
So
you go to towns.
Starlink, right?
No. So satellite communicators are little tiny, about the size of a walkie-talkie, and they're satellite text messengers. So you can't surf the web, you can't send email, you can't do much of anything. But it'll let people track you and know where you are, and you can send two-way text messages. So it lets you have a safety outlet of, like, if you break down in the middle of nowhere hiking, you can have a chat or you can press the SOS button. So satellite communicators are, for people traveling in remote places, they've been around for years, and they're really a great tool in your emergency arsenal if you're going off the beaten path.
And I'm assuming that's all GPS?
They use GPS for your location, but no, they use a different satellite network. The Iridium network is what a lot of them use, and it's the satellite, basically the satellite phone, old school satellite phone network.
Gotcha.
So they can't do internet or much data at all.
But you can pull down weather maps, weather updates. You can get it. We use it when we're going off grid so that we can at least communicate with our staff, so that we know if there's a big breaking internet story, they can say, "Hey guys, go find some signal so you can get online.
Go find some real internet." And so the text messaging stuff is just from the safety standpoint. That is an option that everybody should always consider if you're going way out.
Very cool. So the last question is 5G. I didn't preface this one before, but we mentioned 5G a little bit, and so I jotted it down because I thought, that'd be a good thing to chat about. What, with 5G coming down the line, a lot of these boosters are no longer going to be able to work that way, or with the 5G technology, or what's
5G is very complicated because each carrier is rolling it out in completely different ways. So you've got T-Mobile that has already rolled it out nationwide over their 600 megahertz spectrum. So it's long range, but it's not that super fast millimeter wave 5G that most people are hearing about, which is urban city only.
Yeah, very, very short range. It doesn't even go through a window. So there's the Verizon's 5G right now is only basically certain streets and certain blocks in some tiny few dozen cities. So there's two very different ways of doing 5G. They're all eventually going to be doing combinations of both long range and slow and urban and fast, but they're going at it in different directions. A lot of the gear changes completely. Most boosters aren't super relevant in a 5G world. Some of them will be a little bit useful.
But here's the thing, is LTE is at its pinnacle, and it's going to remain. It is the foundation of where the sub-6 5G is going to be on. And so any investment you make in LTE is going to still be valid for 2 or 3 years out. So our advice right now is focus on a robust LTE setup if you're just setting out now. And keep an eye on 5G in the next 2 to 3 years for the time to jump on board. It's going to take a while for antennas and boosters and routers and mobile hotspot devices and even cell phones they're out. There's 5G equipment out for cell phones now, but it's going to be a while before the good stuff comes out.
And also where 5G is starting from in most places is really good 4G. So it's just building on the foundation. It's basically setting the stage for the next 10 years of cellular evolution. So think of what 4G was like 10 years ago when it first came out. It was, starting as really good 3G, and it's built up to, it's gotten pretty amazing relative to where it started. So 5G is going to follow that same 10-year curve.
And see, he's got our website down there. If you add on 5G to the end of that, we have a whole resource page put together with a fundamentals of 5G overview, all of the articles that we're writing on it. And I think we have scheduled next week or the week after, we're going to be doing a video on the reality check on 5G.
Yeah, just like we did the reality check on Starlink, we'll have one on 5G. Some of the truths and the fictions.
Awesome, guys. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today and give us a little knowledge in something that you guys are so versed with. I appreciate it. So people know where they can find you online, and maybe in a year or so we can recap and see where we're at on the Starlink world. Maybe things will be different, but I think I'm going to stick true to the 4G LTE for now, it sounds like.
Awesome. Yep, I think that's a safe bet. Go with what's tried and true and working, and it will keep you well connected.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks so much, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
What'd you think, Dave?
I thought it was interesting. I'm a little bit more pro booster than they are, but because I do love my booster.
Yeah, I think having a repeater just in general, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps just to get the cell signal into the van because you're in a metal box, so it definitely helps get the cell signal into your rig. And I've definitely found that the cell booster does help a lot because the way I have mine set up, sometimes it gets unplugged and I can like almost immediately tell if I'm doing something that the booster's off, and I'm like, oh crap, and I gotta go plug it back in and get it all set up again.
I've been wanting one for a while, and I don't have a hotspot, and I do want upload speed, so I think I'm going to go with the booster. But guys, think about the Netgear $30 MIMO device, especially if you're in the market for doing a hotspot. It's definitely a much better option, much cheaper option to try, and from what they're saying, they're the experts. They know what's up. So definitely check that out. And if you want to buy a booster, some of you guys know Austin Shrigley. He's a fellow van lifer, and he's always getting into some sort of deals, and I think he bought a bulk amount of boosters. So Austin, if you're there, go ahead and tell us what you got for the Good Vibers.
What's going on, Good Vibers? Austin Shrigley here, and I am here with a special offer for you digital nomads and anyone else that just likes having phone connection to stay connected and safe out on the road. I've worked out a special deal with a distributor from WeBoost. I've got a limited supply of 2 different models at a discounted rate for you guys. I've got the Drive 4GX, which is supposedly the top of the line model. It retails for $449 plus tax on Amazon Prime. I'm offering it to you for $350 free shipping. And I've also got the 4GM, which I believe is a discounted model. It's the step down from this. It retails for $324.99 plus tax on Amazon, and it's yours for $250 free shipping. And I'll get these out the same day that you order them or the next day, depending on when you order it. But I would like to extend this offers to you. The model numbers on this one is the 4GM 470-108. And the model number on this 4GX is 470-510. So I'm offering you guys, 75 to 100 bucks off, free shipping, no tax, and they're brand new. Everything's in the box. I have this special offer I would like to extend to you guys for the good vibes only. And you can find me on Instagram at Austin Shrigley. If you want to order one, just shoot me a message, and hopefully I will still have a few left, and I'll be able to supply that to you. So I hope you all are staying safe, enjoying yourself out on the road. Keep the good vibes high, and I'll see you out there. Peace.
Love it, Austin. Thanks so much, brother. There's a puppy Cam there with Stella. She's hanging out. Birthday girl's going to have her birthday on Monday. Dave, I'm excited for her.
Happy birthday.
Big number 1 for her, so we got to do something special. Special. Awesome. So that's cool. I think it's awesome that Austin's got an offer. If people are interested, it's definitely worth looking at. So for our next segment, I wanted to, first we're going to do a little bit more music, and then I'm going to turn the music down. We've got a great segment coming up, but before then, let's get a little bit more of our boy Michale. Get it, Michale. We appreciate Nomadic Soul Traveler, our house DJ, y'all. Give it up for Michale. Remember, you guys can stream these now from Michale's Soundcloud. Nomadic Soul Traveler with 2 L's. Check them out on SoundCloud. All of our live sets are going to be there, and each show we're going to have a new live set because he's freaking awesome.
He is great. I love it.
All right, good vibers. So for our next segment today, we wanted to put a spotlight on the fact that it is Gay Pride Month. Not only is this an important Gay Pride Month, but a lot is going on in our society right now. So I think it's important to not only look at the history of Gay Pride Month, specifically June 28th is tomorrow, and that is the remembrance of a very important event in gay pride history. Those of you that know about the pushback from the gay community in San Francisco and how the Stonewall riots really created a movement, started the ball rolling for more and more of what we now see as the gay pride strong revolution. So today I wanted to bring Abi from VanlifePride account onto the show today. They've really started to create a space for the gay pride movement within the van life community, because it's important for us to not only understand what we can do to the greater LGBTQ plus community, but also how we as a community, as van lifers, can do our part. So Abi, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up, good vibers?
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. I appreciate you being here.
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, and it's an important month. I'm excited. Happy Gay Pride Month to you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to start
Happy
off by first making sure that we show each other respect and talk about our pronouns. So if you wanted to give me your pronouns, and I will give you mine afterwards, just make sure we're set.
Yeah, I use she, her.
And I use his, him. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. So I'm going to get right into it because we've got a lot going on. Obviously, you know that this is a very pivotal time in our society, and I like to say that things in our civilization, they don't just happen incrementally over time. They happen in big shifts that happen within our society.
That's very true.
We're in one of those stages right now.
We're living it.
We're living it, and you know, it's good to not only experience it and learn as much as we can, to research, to understand our history from the past, but it's also really good to understand what we can do moving forward and how we can continue this movement. And I think that is something exciting that you're doing with the VanlifePride account. You know, why don't you talk a little bit about how that got started and where that came from?
Yeah, so I travel and live full-time in a van with my wife, Natalie, and our two dogs, Bear and Peluche. And we've been living this way for a year and a half. And we started to notice really a lack of representation in the LGBT community, in the greater van life community. We were just wondering, you know, where are people? They're just not easy to find. You know, you really have to go looking. So we created an Instagram account called VanlifePride to create a community for the LGBTQ people within the nomadic community. So that Instagram account just brings people together. We highlight different members of the community, and we provide resources and information. It's a safe space for a nomadic queer people to get together and know that they are supported and loved.
Very cool, very cool. So next question is, why do the LGBTQ plus van lifers need this resource in the community?
They need to know that there's other people out there. You might not see it on some of the big hubs on Instagram. You might not be able to find a lot of LGBTQ people on YouTube. They're out there. They are doing those things, and they need to see VanlifePride just to see the sheer number of people that are living this way, that are living on the road. Whether maybe somebody, you know, wouldn't have known that we're out there doing this, but they can see it.
No, I think it's awesome.
We're trying to increase visibility.
Yes. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for making space within our community. I think it's important for us to realize that we cannot be an inclusive society unless we reach out and let everyone know that you are welcome from all walks of life, no matter where you come from, who you love, and what rig you decide to travel in. We want you, and we want you to be a part of our community because you are loved and you are welcome.
Exactly. Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about Pride Month. This month, you know, a lot going on, and just give me an idea of how's everything going this year.
Yeah, so Pride in general, in case you don't know much about Pride in general is a movement that promotes dignity, equality, and increased visibility for LGBTQ plus people. It really comes down to being proud of who you are versus feeling shame and social stigma. And then Pride Month celebrates that Pride movement, and it recognizes the impact that queer people have had on history. Now, the actual month for Pride can vary by country because it also commemorates specific events and people that have been catalysts in the fight for equality. In the United States, the Pride Month is June because it's commemorating a really important event, the Stonewall riots, which happened on June 28th in 1969. So tomorrow we're looking forward to celebrating our 51st anniversary of the Stonewall riots. Without those riots, we wouldn't have Pride.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely that is a date we need to keep remembering and bringing up because I think it's important for us moving forward to understand that history. So that is an exciting date. Now, obviously, we've got a lot going on.
Yes.
Pride. So with the Black Lives movement, how has that impacted Pride?
Yeah.
Things are kind of shifting around.
Think it's Pride 2020 looks completely different. First there was, COVID, which shutting down events. So typically there's tons of events, parades, festivals, and whatnot that would partake during Pride Month, but those all got shut down. And then even more importantly, yes, the Black Lives Matter movement. The whole world has gathered in protest, and we support that. Black Lives Matter is super important to us as queer people. First of all, we wouldn't even have Pride if it weren't for Black queer people. A Black trans woman, Marsha P. Johnson, was a hugely important figure in the Stonewall Uprising. She and many other Black trans women have been instrumental in the fight for LGBTQ plus rights. So we can't forget about them. Especially Black trans women, they're the most discriminated against group in the LGBT community. So right now especially, it's super important to lift them up. Marsha P. Johnson said, as long as my people don't have their rights across America, there's no reason for celebration. So this Pride has been super different. We're not out celebrating, we're out protesting for our Black trans family members. We're all a big family, the LGBTQ plus community, and we feel it's really important to stand up for the members of our community who aren't receiving as much support. So that's been our focus this Pride Month for sure, is elevating the voices and centering the stories of Black trans people who are speaking up and who haven't been heard. Now is the time to listen to them.
That's awesome. No, I think that's exactly the way, putting the spotlight on the people that need to have their voices heard and being able to give them some time. And that's really what I've been trying to do, is shut my white ass up and put some spotlights on the right people that are speaking and really need to be heard right now. So I think that's amazing.
Yes.
So it makes me want to do my part. This is not just your movement, this is our movement. And so what can I and what can other LGBTQ plus van lifers do to support?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can support the community. I mean, number one, you can learn the history of the movement of Pride, about how it started with a riot, and there's so much rich history in our fight for equal rights. You can get online and do some research. A great documentary on Netflix is the Marsha P. Johnson story. So if you want to learn specifically about her, check that out. And then you can offer respect to all LGBTQ plus people, regardless of their race. Learn to use proper pronouns. Like we introduce ourselves with pronouns in the beginning of this video, this interview. Keep doing that and use the pronouns that people want. Another thing, support LGBTQ plus businesses, register to vote, and support politicians that are promoting legislation that protects the rights of LGBTQ plus people. And then if you have the funds, you can donate to some organizations, especially organizations right now that are supporting the trans community. Those organizations really need our support. And then you can diversify the people that you follow on social media and the people maybe that you interact with in real life. If the more people you can follow that are different from you, whether they're, queer, trans, people of color, you're going to learn something by just diversifying the group of people that you surround yourself with. So, and that can be easily done virtually. By just following some different people. A great way is to check out VanlifePride, check out the Diversify Van Life. There's some accounts out there that are giving representation to minorities in the nomadic community, and you can find some really interesting people on there and learn a lot about those different communities. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that your site gives a lot of resources. I know your bio has a lot of information in it. So anybody that's looking for a direction, maybe some places to start, that's a great place to get started. And I'll make sure and link everything in the show notes.
On the Instagram, like on our Van Life Pride, we provided resources for those organizations I was talking about. You can find some there. You can find a guide for how to be an ally. Like maybe learning about pronouns is like, what? I've never heard about this. We have a resource for that. And then, it's a community. It's all about getting to know people. So you can follow some people and just start to become friends.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Thank you for making that space and providing those resources. That's huge. So how about the LGBTQ plus van lifers just learning about the community that you started? What should they know about the account?
We want them to know that they're welcome, that we are a safe space for them to come and interact with other people who want to live or are living nomadically. It's a space for people to connect with each other and know that they are loved and welcome.
Yes, welcome, and that need to know that we appreciate them for who they are.
Yeah. They have a unique story to share, and part of what we're doing on that account is to share stories. So we're constantly looking for new people to make a connection with and to share their story. Yeah.
Awesome, Abby. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on this amazing Pride Month that we are in.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Happy Pride.
Good vibers all around. Definitely giving you back. Happy Pride to you. I appreciate you, and we'll catch you out on the road.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Great segment. It was a really good segment. Sorry about the audio on that. We had some difficulty there, but it was such a good segment. I really wanted to get them on so that they could tell. Look at that view. Dave?
Yeah, I'm so proud of the Pride community. Like, it's been like Abby said, it's been overshadowed by the virus and then this Black Lives Matter movement, and they haven't missed a beat. They have accepted it and gotten behind the Black Lives Matter movement, and they're not complaining about it. It's just amazing. It's just an amazing community. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. Very strong, been through a lot, and they need our support. They need the white male to say, "Hey, this is my fight too." And I think that's important for us to realize, and I'm hoping that this movement, more than others, is really starting to get a lot of people that were on the sidelines out on the streets, starting to talk to people, starting to talk to families. It's really important that we all understand that we play a part in this and that we need to do our part to help push our civilization forward. Awesome. Well, Dave, we are at the end of the show. I am excited. Man, this was a good show. I loved it. Music, as always, is amazing. So give it up to Michale and to everyone else that was interviewed and did a segment. I appreciate you guys. Cheers to everyone. Take your glasses. All right. Well, we're going to finish up with a little video that I found that I loved that I wanted to share with you guys. This is Miss Caitlin Saunders at age 9 performing a routine to quite a popular song, Andre Day's Rise Up. To all the nomads out there, we send good vibes and positivity. Until next time, enjoy your journey, my friends.
Mountains, and I rise up, I rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up, I like the waves. I rise up, in spite of the ache. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. You, the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And I rise up, I rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. That we have each other, and for that we have each other, and we will rise, we will rise, so we'll rise, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times.